are listening to Veterans Action Report on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I'm your host, Nick, coming to you live from St. Paul, Minnesota.
And I'm Andrew Canales, coming to you live from Evergreen, Colorado.
Every day, veterans are struggling with many issues spanning from homelessness to mental health crisis, often leading to 22 veterans a day taking their own lives. There are veterans all around the U.S. leading the fight to help guide our brothers and sisters to a better life. We will bring you stories from all around the country telling tales of veteran struggles and triumph. Every episode benefits veteran-run nonprofits Warriors Next Adventure, helping veterans fight PTSD through recreational therapy and new adventures. And Houses for Warriors, helping solve the homeless crisis, leading veterans to a better lifestyle. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Veterans Action Report. You got me and Andrew on today. We're just going to be talking a little bit about mindset, and we figured we'd go a little bit more in depth. How you doing today, man?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I got my White Belt Tears coffee mug, which is complimentary of Midland BJJ. I got this from them on the tour. I love this cup.
White Belt Tears.
Yeah.
It's funny.
How
was your weekend, man?
It was good. I didn't really do a whole lot. Saturday, I went to a luncheon with Galen Miller. And Galen, if you're listening, I love you. I call him the godfather of Minnesota veterans. This guy knows everybody. I know I'm a good networker, and I pride myself on that, but I am dog shit compared to him. He knows everyone. And he was actually every fourth Saturday of the month, he does like a business meeting. So like a group of veterans can get together who are trying to network and find jobs and work on the resumes and a bunch of other stuff. They all get together and they eat breakfast together, but he was actually getting an award from St. Thomas. I don't think I'm supposed to talk about that yet. I'm going to have to bleep that out. Either way. So he's getting an award, and he's just an awesome dude. And, there's nobody more deserving. Anyway, so again, I'm going to have to cut that out because I'm not supposed to say it yet. I already screwed the pooch on that one. And then,
we're pre-recording, so if it,
I'll go back and edit
we
it
can
out.
we can always.
So for those of you,
later.
that little blank moment in the last few seconds, I wasn't supposed to say that yet. Anyway, right afterwards, I had a veteran with me. His name is Kevin. Kevin's a good dude, moved to Minnesota from Kentucky, actually, to be closer to the nonprofit. And he's helped us out with some stuff. And he's a good kid and phenomenal sketch artist. And he sent me a picture of the Titanic, and I'm like, "Oh, cool. Where'd you take a picture?" He's like, "No, I drew that." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What are you doing with your life?" And he wants to get back into it. There's this nonprofit called Every Third Saturday. I'm actually gonna have Tom on the podcast not too long. I think you should actually be on that episode because
sure.
he essentially, it's like a Goodwill for veterans but free. And every year
that's what we're trying to do out here, actually.
Nice. Well, it'd be good for you guys
like
to talk to and share resources.
Yeah, they do that down in Kansas at Passageways. They
nice.
They got an old Sam's Club, and Passageways is the model that we modeled Houses for Warriors on. Nice. They've been like transitioning homeless veterans for the last 7 years, 6 or 7 years, and they got over 120 veterans off the street in this one home.
Nice.
But that's what they do. They have this new thrift store that is free for veterans, and you can go get furniture, house items, and when they graduate their program and move into their own place, they help them furnish their apartments. So that's what we're actually doing out here now.
Nice. They actually have a course too called the Warrior Path, and I'm actually going to be going out there, and I'll be one of the keynote speakers out there for their thing. It's like I think they said it's a 6-week program, and you go through and you sit through classes and everything like that. It's free for veterans, of course, and for people that are dealing with recovery issues or alcohol or just homelessness or just want to be better. So I met the guy who runs Warrior Path on Saturday, and we talked for like 10 minutes, and he's like, "Dude, I need to have you come in and talk to everybody." And I'm like, "All right, cool. That's what I do." But anyway, when we went down to Every Third Saturday, it just so happened to be their annual boot drive. And Red Wing
Nice.
Boots, and it's Red Wing and Irish Setter donates a crap ton of boots to this nonprofit, and a bunch of different sizes. And we got sucked into being volunteers, which I was just going there to hang out, but I'm like, yeah, well, since we're here, we might as well help. So we fitted like, I think it was like 120 veterans, homeless veterans with boots, like brand new Irish Setter boots. Like I was actually pretty jealous of a few of them because my Timberlands are falling apart. But yeah, it was really cool. They were all super grateful, really nice people. And it was just fun to be a part of that. So
That's awesome, man. I love hearing about that. That's awesome. We need more like that, more things like that going on, more businesses getting involved, and it's slowly happening. I mean, we're new to this industry. You know,
yeah,
as far as nonprofits go, we've only been around a few years, and same with Warriors Next Adventures. So, you know, we're just stepping into this industry and seeing like all the companies that do stuff for nonprofits and community. And I think everybody understands, anyone who owns a business understands that you have to be involved in the community in order to get the customers, in order to get your donors, in order to get the support that you need.
yeah.
And you know, you brought something up though, like you said, you were jealous. You know, I wish you wanted to get some new boots,
It's nice
you're
boots.
yeah, well, because yours are falling apart. You know, one of the big things that I've been learning this last couple weeks is that really this last month, because as you know, I'm going through this coaching program, and I have
Sure.
some new coaches, new mentors, and my
I'm so
hardest
excited to come
realization.
out and go through that
I
course, man.
I can't wait for you to come, dude. Just the amount of transformation I've had in the last few weeks has been amazing, and very noticeable by everybody in my life. So, but one of the things that I realized that was really hard for me to accept, other than being accepting, was that I've been serving from an empty plate. You know, there's a lot of people in this world that fall into this supportive quadrant. There's an exercise we do that, based on your personality, you draw a cross, and at the top is formal, at the bottom is informal. On the right side is um, oh shoot, it's formal, informal, and we might have to edit this out. Anyway, based on it was go with the flow, or gosh, what's the opposite of go with the flow, brother?
I got brain damage, so I'm gonna have to write everything.
I
down.
know, no, me too. And I'm like looking for my notes right now, and I don't have them. But anyway, so you fall into this either this one of four like major quadrants in personality. It's you're a controller, you're an analyst, you're the supporter, or you're the promoter. And now, of course, everybody has common traits with all four quadrants, but really there's a majority that you fall into. And one of the things that is very common and it's usually the majority of the room ends up in the supportive quadrant, because they're the ones that are really needing to understand that we give and give and give and give without any expectation of return. And it truly comes from this big heart that a lot of people carry, and carrying their trauma and their survival and their all the triumphs that they've had on their sleeve, which is a powerful thing. But to realize that you have to serve your plate first, and then what overflows is what you can give. Because it's just like loving somebody. You can't love somebody without loving yourself. You can't help somebody without helping yourself. Hurt people, and healed people, heal people. And that was some of the biggest takeaways that I've realized in the last few weeks. And I've been really focused on myself. And as I focus on myself, the more that I'm growing as an individual and as a man, the more success I'm seeing in the nonprofit. It's just being like I'm attracting what I need, and the support I need, and being able to have support. So I got I got 4 of my veterans through this exploratory class,
Nice.
without any real preparation. And I felt like that was a mistake, because there's a lot of sharing. You're in a room with 40 strangers. There is no teacher. You're the teacher. All the answers are inside of you, but everything that you're experiencing through these games, these exercises, and these activities with these strangers, you're able to really dive into how you view the world and your mindset, and essentially all of your limiting beliefs. That's one thing I've struggled with a long time, is believing in myself and believing that I was able or capable to actually achieve what is in my heart and in my mind.
Yeah, one of the quotes I came up with, talking to a lot of my veterans, because what a lot of people, for those who don't know, a lot of what we do with Warriors Next Adventure is life coaching, getting veterans to actually get to that next level. And I tell people that I'm serving, the only limits in your life are what you limit yourself. You are the only one that can limit your experiences, because far too often there's folks say, well, I can't do that. Why? Tell me why. It's nothing but excuses. I don't care what you say. Like, well, I can't do this because I got a job. Like, okay, well, I have a job and I still run this nonprofit full time. I had somebody telling me that, well, I want to get started, but how am I going to do that working 40 hours a week? I was like, okay, well, I've worked over 100 hours a week since 2019 when I started this nonprofit, because I absolutely love this. This is my passion. It's not just something that I'm trying to do. It's something I have to do. There's no other options, right? And so I decided, you know what, I am going to live life limitless. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get the mission done, and as I've told you and a couple other people, with this whole cancer thing that I've been going through, I've actually been lucky enough to now I'm rated 100%, and I can run this nonprofit full time. I don't have to focus on a 40-hour a week job. I could put 100% of my effort in towards helping veterans 24/7. And there's nothing I've wanted to do more in my life. So I'm pretty happy.
Dude, congratulations, man. I know that there's a lot of veterans listening that have experienced getting that bump in disability and compensation. And then there's a lot of veterans who haven't even opened that door yet. They don't think that they qualify, or they don't believe
your
that
VA claim.
I know. So let's talk about that for a second, because
Sure.
that's a big mindset issue in our community, is not wanting a handout, right? Not wanting to be dependent on their entitled benefits. And that's something that I struggled with for years. I didn't even go into the VA system until 3 years after I got out of the military. And it was only
it's that word entitled, and people need to realize that we are entitled to it, because when we sign that dotted line, we are promised to be taken care of after the military, right? And so that's the one thing that a lot of people need to stop saying. It's like, well, it's not an entitlement. It actually is. When you sign that dotted line to join the military, it says that we will take care of you afterwards.
Yeah, especially if this happens to you, or if this happens to you, or if any of these, this long list of traumatic experiences that can affect you, traumatic brain injuries, post-traumatic stress, military sexual trauma. You know how many rape victims in the military aren't receiving disability because they have not attempted to open that door? And
it's because they don't think that they deserve it, or it's not available.
Or and I'll even add one more to that they believe that they can't do it. And I just dropped a can't. I'm trying not to say but, can't, or try. And I just dropped like five of them.
You're explaining something, so we'll give you slack.
I get you. So no, but it's so true. And I was in the same boat, and it wasn't until I was absolutely pushed to the bottom of the hole that I was in. And I mean, when dirt started falling on me is when I was like, okay, now's the time. Like at the time, I had just broken my legs. I was homeless, and I didn't even have medical care. I didn't even have health care. So come to find out, I was 100% disabled since like while I was in the military. And like you said, having the freedom to follow your passions and your mission, that's one thing we really lose when we get out. And to be able to find that, you have to be able to be stable. A lot of us just get into this situation where we lose half of our income when we get out of the military, the jobs that we can get. And this was years ago. Right now,
Sure.
I'm sure anybody getting out can get any job they want because nobody's working. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, I mean, you can go
So-
work at McDonald's in some places and make $21 an hour. I'm just saying.
it's insane. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that shift in mindset, tell me about you, and how you did that, because we've already talked about how I've done that and
Yeah.
been able, I was forced into it. I had no choice. I had a mom who had pushed me. But for the people who don't have families, or the people who are just so stuck in their head, what advice would you give those guys to get out of that mindset and to claim what they're owed, and to use that as a means to an end?
I would say Galen, who I talked about earlier, I met him very early in my nonprofit life. I want to say it was maybe 6 months in. And I had started my intent to file in like March 2019. I started the nonprofit in April. And but I never finished it because I was like, I don't know. I was one of those guys, right? I don't know if I deserve it. I don't know if I should do this. And I'm like, I don't know. But one of the things that we started doing with Warriors Next Adventure is connecting veterans to their VSOs so they could start their VA claim. And so I'm like, I'm going to get every single veteran to at least attempt to file a claim, because, we should take care of ourselves. And then I actually had him and one of my other veterans like, well, what's your VA rating? I was like, well, I've never filed my claim. Like, dude, how are you, like, you're not walking the walk. I'm like, damn it. So I decided, if I'm going to be helping other veterans, and this comes back to what you were talking about earlier, if I'm going to be helping other veterans, I need to take care of myself as well, because something that my jiu-jitsu coach, Mark Mortensen, says, very often is, if you can't take care of number one, how are you going to take care of number 2 and 3? It's really hard to take care of somebody when you're only going at 50%. When you're going at 100%, you can give everything you need, to yourself, and you're going to have leftover for other people, And so
a lot of people avoid their own healing.
Mhm.
by trying to heal others, and by trying to help others and support others. And it's
Guilty.
this lose-win, it's this lose-win scenario. I don't think we've talked about this yet, but you can win your life, or you can live your life in a win-win, or a win-lose, or a lose-win. And a lot of the guys like you and I are okay with a lose-win scenario. We're okay if we lose, as long as the people around us and closest to us win.
Yeah, sometimes it's necessary, because you have to make sacrifices.
But and that's where the mindset has to shift with us and guys like us. You cannot help anybody unless you are helping yourself first. You cannot serve anybody from an empty plate.
There's a lot of, I do get accused of not taking care of myself a lot, which I'm not denying sometimes, but I still struggle with mental health, and it's something that I've talked to a lot of folks about. Is I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I'm very happy. I have a great girlfriend. I have 2 awesome kids. I got 2 dogs. I got a nice truck. I got like everything that I need. Everything. I still struggle most days getting out of bed. I don't want to. I don't want to get up. I don't want to do like anything that I do. Even with the nonprofit stuff, like I don't always wake up like, let's go take on the day. It's not true, man. Like I have to manufacture motivation often. And usually it's as simple as grabbing my phone, picking it up and looking at my messages, because those veterans reaching out, or just saying, hey, what's up? Or just, talking to me saying, hey, do you remember that one time we climbed a mountain and you tripped and felt like dumb things, that's where I get my motivation. I created Warriors Next Adventure to keep myself accountable. This nonprofit is 100% selfish, and I don't care who doesn't like me saying that, because this nonprofit was created to give me a sense of purpose. I need something to continue on, because there's most days where, I still have suicidal thoughts, a lot more often than I probably want to admit. But I continue to have purpose and meaning in my life to actually keep me pushing forward and holding my feet to the fire, because if I slip, I'm going to get burnt. I need to keep going, and I need to keep helping other people. But I created this nonprofit with the thought of self-care, because self-care is one of the most important things in the world. And one of my principles, for the 6 principles, I still haven't gone over those, but we'll do that another day.
We got so much time.
Oh yeah. The 6th principle is love yourself, essentially self-care. And so with the nonprofit, I decided, I love hiking. And so I'm going to utilize what I'm going to do. I utilize hiking to get veterans talking. Right. And so I love hiking. So let's go climb some mountains. Right. And then I get people saying, hey, dude, you should go climb this mountain. Like, hell yeah, let's take a bunch of veterans and go climb this mountain. And then the race cars, I've always wanted to race a race car. Then I went to an event and I saw these like Dodge Neons and Saturn Ions. I'm like, what the hell is this? And they're like, what's the Hornet division? I'm like, dude, that's got to be pretty cheap, and within 7 days we had a race car sitting in my garage,
now and so we got 4.
Yeah, we got 4 now, which is crazy.
And you got a new driver. I get to live out one of my dreams now.
You got to come out and race, man.
Dude,
no practice, just get in and go.
I'm there, bro. I'm always down to do stupid shit.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be fun.
We're gonna add that.
And then we added jiu-jitsu, we added, all kinds of stuff. And then, the crisis intervention stuff. I'm a professional at that. I'm not just saying that. Like, I've been doing crisis intervention and suicide prevention since 2009.
You've been a 911 dispatcher for a long time. So
yeah, for the last 8 years,
and job.
Yeah, it's rough. But it gave me some purpose. And I can tell you the call that made me realize I need to do more. A part of my purpose actually comes from this phone call I received. So it was 2017. As many of you know, I've told the story before, but I'll tell it real quick again. I struggled with, my mental health after the military. I struggled with alcohol. I struggled with drugs, and I wasn't really being the best version of myself. And 2015, I was, suicidal as usual. And then I found out some, information. And again, let me preface, me and my kid's mom get along very well. We have a great relationship. But at the time we were married and she was cheating on me again. And it just tipped me over, dude. And I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I actually canoed out about 14 miles into the wilderness in northern Minnesota. It's called the Bondu Waters. Beautiful place. Go check it out, but have good intentions. I decided to take my own life, and I was lucky enough to when I put the gun to my head and pulled the trigger, the gun didn't go off. And so, I had to find a purpose, a reason to continue to live. And I was in the middle of working through all of that, and 2017 rolls around. I think it was around February or March 2017. At this point, I still had never told anybody that I tried to kill myself because I was ashamed of it. And it was selfish. And, I had 2 kids, and, there's a lot of reasons why I'm happy that it didn't work. Obviously, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And I got a 911 phone call, and it was a female, saying she doesn't want to live anymore. Now at dispatch, we actually have GPS on cell phones. So when you call 911, no matter what, your cell phone emits a GPS signal to the towers. We pick up the signal from the tower to our station, and we can find out where you're at. Right. So I pull her up on the map, and there's actually a camera right there. Pull up the camera because we have camera controls, and there she was standing on a bridge. And that bridge that she was standing on, if she would have jumped, she would not have made it. And so, I go straight into my training as, I got lucky with training from the FBI with the hostage negotiation training. And then not to mention, I had been a dispatcher for 4 years at that point. And, we're highly trained in crisis intervention and suicide prevention. That's what we do. And so we started talking, and the first thing that anybody will tell you who does any kind of hostage negotiation or any kind of like suicide prevention, you need to find something that you guys are alike. You need to find what's the word I'm looking for? There's
common
a word.
Interest?
No, damn it. I talk about this all the time. Anyway, so you need to be relatable.
Commonality?
There you go. Relatable. You need to be relatable. Yeah. And so, we needed to find something that we were alike. And so I started asking her about her life. Come to find out she was an Army veteran. I'm like, hey, I'm a veteran too. And it was funny too, because I told her I was in the Air Force. She's like, I thought you said you were a veteran. I was like, hey, come on. Just give me shit about being in the Air Force. And so the more and more we talked, the more information she started to give me. And I could tell she started to calm down. And then we start talking about the reason why she was, depressed and everything like that. And, I'm not saying her name or anything, so I will tell you what we talked about because it is public record too. But she was actually raped while she was in the Army and never talked about it, never told anybody, never confessed what had happened. And so she had been holding that pain for so many years. And I can just feel myself getting emotional. And, I'll never forget watching that camera, man. There's nothing harder than trying your best to get somebody to stay here and not take their own life. It's even harder when you're watching it, and
especially when you have your own feelings towards it too.
Yeah, exactly. It's re-traumatization because it goes, and every time I'm helping somebody with suicide prevention, I go right back to that point where I tried to kill myself. And it's all about bringing my emotions back, because once my emotions are there, that's when we really connect. And she starts telling me about how she had never told anybody and she just gives up and doesn't want to do it anymore. She takes a step forward like she was going to jump. I'm like, wait, I was like, before you go, I was like, can I tell you something that I've never told anybody? I was like, back in 2015, I had decided that I didn't want to live anymore because of everything that I was going through. I'd lost some friends overseas, struggled with myself, a lot of personal life issues that I was struggling with. Alcohol didn't help. And I was like, 2015, I decided to try to take my own life. And I put a gun to my head and I pulled the trigger, but the gun never went off. And I've been trying to find a reason, why I'm still alive. And maybe this is it. Maybe I'm here to stop this from happening. Maybe I'm here to connect with you and help you find, that there's more to life than just taking it, right? It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I was like, there's people out there that love you. I was like, and if you don't have anybody, I love you. I was like, you're one of my sisters. I was like, you're a veteran. I'm a veteran. We are family. I was like, and I don't want to lose another family member. And so my troopers were out on the bridge, and I remember telling them over the radio, because I was talking to them on the radio and I was talking to her on the phone while typing all the information in the event. So it's super, you get to multitask a lot as a dispatcher. And, I ended up telling my troopers, just wait. I was like, give me some time. And so I was like, if you get down today, I'm going to get you some help. And I was like, you just have to trust my troopers. They're not going to arrest you, and they're not going to put you in handcuffs. They just want to help. And so she ended up getting down, and my troopers were right there, and they walked up and gave her a hug. And man, I'd never broke down harder in my life. While we were on the call, I was doing okay. But the second I saw she was safe, my adrenaline just fucking boom, just dumped. And I broke down crying. I dropped my headset. And I never cried in dispatch. And I've heard and seen some horrible shit. This was the first time that I was really emotionally connected. And I went in the other room and kind of sat there for a few minutes. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. I was like, oh. And then once the emotions kind of went away, man, I felt like fucking Superman. Like there's nothing has ever made me feel like that. I had suicide calls before, and I prevented them. I prevented a kidnapping. I've done a lot of stuff when it comes to this kind of thing. And I've never felt so rewarded than knowing that I helped another veteran stay here one more day. And so that was right about the time that I realized that I'm not doing enough, and I know I have a talent for what I do. What else can I do? And that's when I started to kind of think like, how can I help even more? And so I started doing a little bit of volunteer work here and there, and a couple years went by, and I was an MMA fighter at the time. And I'm like, I'm going to use me being an MMA fighter as a platform, and I'm going to start bringing attention to veterans' mental health. And so I started talking a little bit about some of my struggles. And then 2019 came around when I decided to start Warriors Next Adventure. I wrote a blog called The 6 Principles to Improve Your State of Mind. And in those 6 principles was the first time I publicly had said that I attempted suicide. After that article was published, man, I shared it on Facebook, and I got well over like 100 phone calls and text messages like, dude, what the hell? Like nobody had known. And they're like, there's no way we ever would have guessed that you attempted suicide. I was like, it's never going to be the people you would assume, man. I was like, I had a lot of shit going on, and I still do, but I have a purpose now, and I have a reason to continue. And in anybody listening to this, if you want to read a really good book that will help you kind of understand life and meaning, Dr. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning has really helped me connect the dots on a lot of reasons why I do what I do. Is, I have a purpose to get up in the morning, and I think everybody needs a purpose like that. And my favorite quote is, everybody has a responsibility to find their purpose in life, and then once you find it, it's your duty to give it back. And I believe that's what we're both doing, me and you.
It's a powerful story, brother. Thank you for sharing. There were some of those things I didn't hear before. I know we've talked about this stuff before, and being able to tell a story like that, it takes a lot of time to process. It takes time to shift out of the victim mentality, because anytime you're traumatized, anytime you're re-traumatized, anytime you experience any type of suffering, it's going to affect you, and you become a victim of that. And nobody could just think of a situation that's occurring right as it's happening and say, oh, I'm gonna survive this. I'm going, there's a grief phase, stages of grief that we have to go through, and to see you where you're at now. I'll let you in on a little secret. Like I still wake up struggling every day too. I actually learned that I had to turn off my phone or get away from my phone first half hour of the day. I have to, play with my dog. I have to feed her. I have to do some stuff. And then lately I've been doing a lot of meditation, a lot of visualizing, doing some what we call workshop, where you have this workshop in your mind that you are able to process information, visualize the future, create these future memories, casework, and essentially putting out healing energy into the world. And so I know I struggled. I used to tell quite a different story in my life. And when I hear you talk, I hear how you overcame this and overcame that, and not how you don't use it as excuses for anything.
I used to, and not anymore.
Yeah, no, I know, me too, man. I think we all have at some point. We stay in that victim mindset. And I will say this, that you never heal from the PTSD and the suicidal stuff. Like you don't get over it. You learn to live with it.
You learn to cope.
You learn to control those emotions. And it was one thing that connected us, I think, right off the bat, was that we were both in this phase of taking massive responsibility for everything in our lives and owning everything that we are responsible for, and our emotions. And it was nice because I saw you as a mentor for that in a way, because it was something that I had just started taking responsibility for. And then we met, and I feel like that is if we met before, when I was still doing that, we wouldn't have been friends.
There's a lot of people who, have said similar things. Me and Mara talk about this often. If we would have met 4 years ago, there's no way we would be together.
Tell the audience who Mara is.
Mara's my girlfriend. She went climbing with us. Andrew, you met her.
I love Mara.
Colorado this year.
Hi, Mara.
Yeah, she's awesome. We went mountain climbing together. Every year we do an annual mountain climb in Colorado, and I had an extra seat in the car. I'm like, you know what? She's a I don't know the word. She's a drug addiction counselor here in Minnesota. And, a lot of veterans struggle with addiction. And so I'm like, why don't you come with as a counselor, and then you can kind of get some conversations in with these guys, because you experienced it. Half of what we do on these climbs is we talk about traumas, we talk about life, we talk about real things, right? Not just, there's a lot of stupid dick and fart jokes flying around, but still the majority of the time we're actually trying to grow. And, I felt like she would have been a good addition, and I really think she was. So I'm trying to get her to come with on some more stuff here and there. But we both finally got to that stage in life where we deserved somebody, you know, good enough. And if any of you out there, any male veterans who I've talked to, sorry, females, I tend to be a male, so it's easier for me to talk about men in relationships. So I'm sorry if you're offended by this, but men need to stop bending over backwards for women. They need to build their value so much to the point where a good woman finds them. And that's nothing against women or anything like that. It's
Major
saying
squirrel.
men need to be accountable for themselves.
I'm saying major squirrel moment. I forgot what we were even going. How do we get into relationships? But yeah, no.
Men need to build their value, and that's what me and you have both done. We've gotten to the point where I am so happy with who I am. I still have a lot of work to do. Anybody who's talked to me about this, they'll say the same. I've admitted millions of times I got a lot of work to do, but I'm pretty happy overall with who I am as a person. You know, and she's done a lot of work to herself too, and we just feed off each other very well.
That was my point too. Is that like you don't ever stop the work. The work doesn't stop. It just keeps getting better and better and better, and you keep getting better and better and better. But that was a great caveat to get into relationship stuff real quick, because I have had a lot of struggles with that, and one of the big things that affected me getting out of the military and being in this victim mindset was that I lost a lot of confidence. I did not create that value in my life. I stopped doing stuff. I stopped, and there was some physical limitations as well. You know, after I broke my femurs, it was I couldn't climb anymore. I couldn't go snowboarding anymore. And up until recently though, I've started climbing again, and I plan on going snowboarding this year. And it was really, I've been working out like 3 times a week and not letting the limitations of my physical limitations are in my mind.
You did really good on the mountain climb on Mount Massive too.
Well, and that's what I'm getting to is like going on that climb with you and Mara, doing Mount Massive was like, and then I attempted the other one right next to it. I think Mount Elbert, right?
Elbert is the highest mountain peak.
3 weeks later, I attempted that one, and I made it to the second peak. But
dude, that second fall summit breaks your heart.
Oh my god!
You see it, you're like, no, I thought it was there.
So get it, but being able to do that and then get that far on the second one, and it really pushed me out of this physical limitations that I had for myself as well. I have always been saying, oh man, I broke my legs, I can't do that anymore. Like there's no way, I'm in too much pain, and blah, 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 and making up these excuses and these limits in my mind. Yeah. And being able to get out of that and say, actually, I can do this. It's just going to take longer than I thought. I have to build to it. And attempting these things again. Like I got my climbing membership. We talked about that. We're going to go climbing when you get here.
What's the name of the place you're climbing at?
Earth Treks. It's in Golden.
Was that the same one that Joseph was saying he was going to?
No, I think he said something about Castle Rock. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm excited to
climb. Who's Joseph? Yeah, no, it's we got to forget we're talking to everybody. So it's,
we have one here called Minneapolis Bouldering Project, and man, every time I go there, I rip the crap out of my hands, but it's totally worth it.
I used climbing as a crutch when I got out of the military to avoid all of my problems. I became a carpenter, so I stayed really busy in construction, working 8 to 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then I'd go climb after work for 2 or 3 hours and hang out with friends. And I was so into fitness and getting into shape and just building my strength climbing that I was happy. I used the adrenaline that I wasn't getting, that I needed. That we get really addicted to that adrenaline overseas. And
dude, when I first got out, I was just into fitness pizza in my mouth. That's about all I did.
Yeah, you lose all that. And so I was chasing it with mountain biking and rock climbing and it's just extreme sports, and eventually it caught up to me, and I got into that accident, and then all the belief that I had in myself, all of my confidence, everything just went right out the window.
Yeah.
And then that turned over and really spilled into my relationships, and starting to get insecure in relationships, not really holding standards, and being with low women with low values. And I think we get used to women that are accepting of our careers, that can handle being away from us for 9 months at a time. And then we get home and we screw it all up because we're traumatized, and we don't know how to cope. And we create these new barriers and resistance and revenge, and
we just expect people to know what we want,
yeah,
instead of telling them.
Right. And exactly. And so we definitely don't know how to communicate what we're feeling, because we can't even process it. No one wants to believe that they're struggling with PTSD. Like, there's so much bad stigma on that. And I mean, that's part of what WNA does, of breaking the stigma of PTSD, and learning that nobody's going to cure it. No one's going to get cured of it. No one's ever going to be healed of it. And we're all literally just learning how to live with it and use it as fuel. Because when we're not processing, when we haven't healed through trauma, it takes us 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction. And being able to, and what I mean by that is all the energy that we use when we're triggered, when we're angry, when we're frustrated and upset, that is exhausting. And imagine if we use that energy to create in this world, to follow our dreams, to push towards our goals, to create goals. And being able to switch that around and go 100 miles an hour in a different direction, that's going to make an impact in someone's life. And that's a huge.
Yeah, what a lot of veterans need to realize is that you can do whatever you want. Like, there's nothing stopping you, from creating a new business, or, being in a good relationship or anything like that. One of the biggest issues I actually have is a lot of, male veterans, reach out to me about like relationship advice. I'm like, well, I've been divorced twice, so I don't know if I'm the best person to talk to, but I've done the work, and I've finally gotten to the point where I do believe that, I would have value to a good woman, and I mean, it shows with my relationship now. This is the best relationship I've ever been in, because we both talk to each other. I'm open about my feelings, and there's some people who's like, well, it's not really masculine to talk about your feelings. Like, yes, it is. You want to know why? Because I could probably kick your ass, cage fighter for 6 years. So, but B,
with one ball.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, soon to be none. That's coming up here soon, but no, it's about not giving a shit what people think about you, right? I always live life with good intentions, right? I always, like, whenever I post a funny meme, right, there's going to be a group of people that think it's hilarious, and there's going to be a group of people that might be slightly offended. I never intend to insult or offend people. However, I do intend to make this group of people laugh, right? So if these people are laughing because of something that I said, great. If you're offended by it, I'm sorry you're offended, but I'm not sorry for what I said, because
don't be sorry that anybody gets offended. Now, here's the thing. It goes back to personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I could say anything to offend you right now, and if you get offended, it's on you. Only you can get offended. Only you can control the emotion inside of you. Either you take it serious or you brush it off. Either you take it to heart and make it personal and become a victim to that offense, or you move on with a different opinion. And intention equals outcome. That's a huge lesson I've learned in this last week. It doesn't matter what your intentions are. Your intentions are to be where you're at, and that's part of this training I'm in, to really like show that they're they do this. I'm gonna totally give some stuff away. They do this exercise where they go intention plus mechanism equals outcome, and they say, what do you how many percentage out of 100, what percentage do you think is intention, and what percentage is outcome or mechanism in order to create the outcome you want? And I'll give away the answer right now. It's 100% zero, because it doesn't matter what the mechanism is. It doesn't matter how you're going to do it. It is doing it. It is getting there. It is finding the who, finding the right people, finding the support that you need, finding the team that you need, whatever that is. But it involves other people, and it involves living in your intentions. So if, no matter, I had the best intentions to, create this organization. It's like, your intentions are where you are. And if you're broke right now and your intentions are to be $1 million and you only have $16, and I'm totally stealing all this stuff from this class. I'm just going to say it out loud, Rob, if Rob and Dan's listening. This is it's all from Convergence. So we'll put a link into the description for Convergence if anybody's interested in this training. Nick's taking this training in January.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But and they don't teach you anything. They show you, share perspective, and you're the teacher. All the answers are always inside you. But he says, if you have $16 in your account and your intentions are to be a millionaire, well, you'd have $1 million in your account. Your intentions right now are to be a $16 heir. And it's so true. It's like, man, it's hard to listen. It's hard to hear and hard to accept. But if you're not living your intentions every day, and that's why you're able to snap out of that wake up phase of, I got to do this again. Nothing's going right. It's like, no, I'm going to make progress today. And it's about being in control of your mind. We've talked about the untethered soul. I forget who wrote this book.
I'm still reading that right now.
We'll put it in the comments.
I'm like 5 chapters into that book right now.
They do an exercise in this book. The author tells you to do this exercise for yourself. But imagine the voice in your head being on the couch right next to you, talking to you the way that he talks to you in your head. Mm-hmm. How long would it be before you kick his ass and kick him out of your house and never listen to that person again? It's a toxic voice in our head, telling us, setting limits, setting doubt, telling us we can't do this, we can't do that. And it's not true. Having the big part of the book that caught me was, who is sitting in the seat of consciousness, and who is.
I meditated on that one night. I meditated on that one night, and like I came to a lot of conclusions. For the most part, I'm in that conscious state, and I'm always living life with intention. There's certain times where like I'll get stupid. Like TikTok is the worst freaking invention ever, and my stupid self got stuck into the trap of that sometimes. Because I do make some videos here and there. Because to be honest, it's good marketing. It's easy marketing. It's free marketing. But sometimes I'll get on there and my dumb ass is just flipping through watching stupid cat videos and stuff. But so there's times where I do let myself dumb down, and you need to relax sometimes. And so my relax time sometimes is just watching stupid, goofy videos, because I'm the stupidest person you'll ever sit and laugh with, because I'll laugh at the dumbest things. I'm very simple when it comes to my humor. Comedy is like my favorite thing in the world. And so I just like to sit and laugh. So when I do turn my brain off, I just want to laugh and just be stupid. But the majority of my day is lived with intention. I do what I need to do. I do what I have to do, and I do what I want to do, all three at the same time, because it's as simple as sitting here doing this radio show with you, or, talking to a veteran about overcoming some of his obstacles, or, finding a veteran resources. My favorite thing in the world to do is a veteran that calls me and says, man, there's no help around me. Like, give me 5 minutes. What's your city and state? I'll find you what I can find you. And then I get hooked them up with like We Defy Foundation or their VSO or their vet center. It's like, it's out there. You just have to look for it.
Asking for help, man. That's the hardest thing to do for veterans for some reason. And
damn stubborn.
So stubborn, man. Well, and like, think of it this way. Something clicked for me this last week. We spent our entire military careers with mentors. It's a rank system. We looked up to the senior airmen. They had the NCOs. The NCOs had the officers. It's like there was a hierarchy, but it was based on knowledge, understanding, and perspective. They had the experience, the perspective, and the knowledge to move up in those ranks, and their job is to bring the next generations up, bring the next ranks up and continue that progress. And so when we get out, we think we don't need any help. We think we don't need anyone. We think we know everything that we need to know, and we're not eager to get coaching and get a mentor, because we just spent 4 or 6 years taking orders and being forced to listen to one, and having to follow orders and be disciplined. A lot of people we get out and we lose that. We don't want to be disciplined anymore. We don't want to listen to people anymore. We don't even want to work for people anymore. And so one thing I've discovered is having a mentor, especially a veteran mentor, is so huge to personal development and growth.
It's big to yourself too.
And that mindset we've been talking about.
Yeah, I mean it's big for yourself too, because again, to bring up Galen for the third time in the episode, he, like I said, you gotta meet this guy. Dude, when you come to Minnesota, you have to meet Galen. He's awesome.
Oh yeah, we'll be out there soon, man.
But yeah, he says often, is like, if you really want to help yourself, mentor another veteran. If you want to find purpose, mentor another veteran. Anybody out there that is looking to be a mentor to veterans, if you don't think you can, start doing the work, because if you don't feel like you're ready to mentor other veterans, that means you got some work to do.
I would argue, it's possible. I'd argue with you though a little bit on that, because we fall into a huge ego trap when we especially, there's a lot of these life coaches out there that they haven't figured it out. We talked about it. People are avoiding their own stuff by telling other people what to do and how to live their lives. And I mean, that's the biggest turn off to coaching and mentorship, life coaching, all that stuff that most people go through. But to find someone genuine who has done the work, who's still doing the work on themselves, and not using coaching as their scapegoat to avoid their own work on their own lives. And that was a big shift for me when I understood that. And
you start noticing it in other people too. Like when you really start working on yourself hardcore, but you're mentoring at the same time, you'll see others that are like, yeah, you got to be the example, but like, I'm perfect. This is what you need to do to make your life better. Like, well, what are you doing to make your life better? If anybody ever tells you that they've done all the work they can and they're perfect, run away from that person, because they're full of shit. That any person involved in life coaching, which technically I'm a life coach because I don't have any fancy letters next to my name, but whatever. I'm not a huge fan of that name. However, it's all about helping other veterans find that next level, right? And the best part about it is every veteran that I've ever sat and talked to about, life and meaning and purpose, I've always told them, and if I haven't, I apologize, but I learned something from every single veteran that I talk to. There's something that you're going to give back. Even somebody who you might think has it all together, you can really do a lot in just a simple conversation.
Absolutely, well, hey, dude, brother.
We got like 20 seconds left, dude.
let's wrap this up for KGRA right now, and then we'll continue our conversation. If you want to hear the rest of this podcast and see the rest of this conversation, visit our Patreon. We'll have the link below. Thank you, KGRA, for giving us this opportunity again. And that's what the show is all about, is about opportunities and veterans that are taking those actions and utilizing those opportunities to impact the world, make the world a better place. Nick?
Absolutely. We'll talk to you guys next Wednesday.
All right.
Perfect.